Welcome to my other show. My name is Susan Russian, and this is AhMuse. This is the show on which I get to. I'm thrilled to, I'm privileged to, I'm delighted to, I'm eager to talk to the people who are lured by the muses. And granted, this is sort of offbeat. My guest today is John Love, who is publisher of the Auburn Journal. And I know, it's not really energy. Of course it's energy, but it has nothing to do with muses. But even so, there's a lot of writing going on, a lot of sharing going on, and so that's what the muses are all about. Yes, okay. Thank you, John, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. And how long have you been publisher?
I actually stepped into the responsibilities during COVID.
Okay.
I was down in our Roseville location as a general manager, and during COVID, we sent a lot of people home, unfortunately, to just work from home. And I was asked from our previous owners, "Hey, could you go up to Auburn just to make sure things are going well, that we're running the way we should?" We had an associate publisher at the time, but he was more based out of Folsom. And Auburn is where our magic happens.
Auburn is where our magic happens. You heard that? I didn't say it. He did.
I did. So I moved my office up here and took on the responsibilities. We didn't give me the name of publisher until about a little over a year ago, actually.
Okay.
I had carried on the responsibilities. We left myself as the general manager just to, ease myself into it. Since we already had an associate publisher, we wanted to make sure that the responsibilities were clear. So yeah, so it's been a little over a year that I've wore the publisher's title.
Okay. Now, what does a publisher do?
What do I not do?
Yeah.
Nowadays, the publishers, I think it depends on where you're at, but
You are here.
I am here, and I do. My number one priority is to make sure my people are happy. Happy people.
By
make
people
good things.
who are
Our staff.
You're working.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, we that's my number one.
Not your
priority.
readers.
Oh,
That's two. That's also important.
That is a number. That is a priority right there.
Yeah.
But to get that content to our readers, I've got to make sure our staff's happy. So, with the editorial group, as long as I've got Bill Poindexter and his staff happy.
Who?
Bill Poindexter.
Bill Poindexter.
He is the number one editor.
Yeah.
Love having him there, but as long as I always feel like if our staff is on point, they're happy, then everybody else can feel that. So our readers can feel it. They see good work. They see good quality, and they'll be there. So those two go together. So I steer the ship, I guess, is what I do. So.
Yeah. Okay. And you are also involved with the ads?
I am. That's
which really astonishes me, because I told you at the before we started, and that I used to work at the Auburn Journal, and the publisher had a ton of work to do. So did the advertising people have
Yes.
a ton of work to do, and now people come in and say, "Where's John?" "Oh, he's working."
Right.
He's still working. So, gosh, you have two things to do.
Well, that's one of many hats. Yeah. So I do love advertising. That's where I started, actually, in newspapers. I've been in newspapers for 33 plus years, and unlike others who tell the story of, hey, I was a paper boy and I threw the papers, I never did that. I watched my friends actually throw papers. I'd go on maybe the route with them back then. But I just happened to fall into the two newspapers 33, like I said, years ago. I started, I was managing in retail and in sales, and I saw a job posted 1 in the morning to 9 in the morning. I was young. I thought, heck, I could work 2 full-time jobs. And it was doing tear sheets back then.
When you were 23 or 17.
Yeah,
oh
right.
My
so,
God.
but I figured I could do two jobs. I started in McClatchy over at the Sacramento Bee. Enjoyed it. I had people notice. They also heard what my background was and said, "What are you doing? Why are you working 1 in the morning to 9 in the morning pulling these tear sheets? Would you like to work during the day and work not in the basement, but work on the first floor in advertising?" And I said, "Yeah, it sounds interesting."
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it, and was selling advertising. And what really turned me on to newspapers, though, was that we had a publisher that used to bring in it was actually our advertising director, I think, that brought in someone from editorial on a monthly basis. They'd have a guest, they'd speak, we'd listen to them. And I remember, I can't remember who exactly it was, but they sat up in the front, and there was over 100 of us back then in the advertising division.
Oh, brother.
And so we sat there, and I listened to this gentleman say, "Hey, I love this. This is what I was made to do, to write and to to put content into a newspaper and pass it on to people." And he looked at us and said, "You know what? I could never pull this off without you guys, because you guys make the papers happen. We need the advertising." And I thought, man, I'm important. I bought into it, and I thought, I love newspapers. And then I think that's just when the ink spread throughout my body, and that's what I've got running through me. So. But again, I love advertising, and unfortunately, we've downsized, and it was
we know.
I moved our former advertising director. He's actually now the publisher in Marysville for our paper up there. So I've just taken on that responsibility and run our advertising side. But I don't want to say it's easy, but because I love it.
Because you love it and you have experience.
Right.
Yeah. It's not something brand new to you.
No.
That makes things easier. Yes. So what is a publisher? It's different from an editor. What does a publisher do?
So with a publisher, like I said, I think my main role is to steer the ship. At least with our papers, it is to. I've also taken on. We used to have a general manager for Gold Country Printing, so we've got printing presses here locally. Even though I've been in the newspaper business for those 33 years, I had no clue about how to operate a press, how it works. Probably the terminology.
Well, good thing you weren't putting your hands on this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And get swallowed up by one of the rollers.
Oh my.
But I had to take on we had a general manager, and no longer do either, and I took on that position. And so again, I guess it's just simple. I steer that ship. I make sure that the press guys, our mailroom guys are happy, and they got what they need. We work with machinery, so I'm constantly having to find out, hey, is this operating fine? Do we need maintenance? What do we need? And then on the newspaper side, it's just making sure, I meet with our editor, Bill Poindexter, to make sure that he's got what he's needed. How do we make sure that we've got content in our paper? I don't worry about that too much, because that's his responsibility.
He's good at it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've got great managers and great staff throughout the organization. So I make sure that they're happy, they've got what they need, and that we can continue to put out a paper for Auburn every Wednesday and every Saturday.
Okay. Do you anticipate adding a day?
We'd love to. That was one of when we were recently purchased, December 1st, it was a year ago that we were actually purchased with our new ownership. And when I sat down with one of the representatives. He's one of the vice presidents. He said, "Hey, you know, I've got some tasks for you, and one of the challenges that I'm going to hit you with is, what do you think about Auburn adding an extra day or an extra 2 days? You know, or
So
is it a 5-day paper?" And I said, "Boy, that's." I said, "Let me catch my breath." But I said, "You know what? That's interesting. We've had it out there, and we're just not sure if that's the direction we wanted to go or not. But if it's possible, we'd love to make it happen." And so I've always left it on the table with our management staff and just said, "Hey, you know, if we could, let's think about how we could add another day. Would it be possible? Is it the right thing to do? You know, does it make business sense? Does it make sense for our readers? So let's look into it." And so it's on our board. I don't know.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know if and when it's going to happen, but it's always a thought.
Good. Okay. Clearly, you believe newspapers are important. Why do you believe newspapers are important?
Oh, you know.
Now listen to him. He I know he's going to answer this in a beautiful way.
Well, I don't know. When it comes to wording, I don't know how beautiful I am, but no, it's changed throughout the years for me of the importance of newspapers. I mean, the general consensus of how I feel about it, it's going to stay the same, but I mean, just because of the way things have changed. You know, when I was over at the Bee, I was at this, you know, daily metropolitan newspaper, and then when I was invited to think about coming over to Gold Country Media at that time, it was a different world because it was community newspapers, and I thought, man, do I want to do community newspapers, and what does it, you know, what's the difference? And you know, when I moved over, and community newspapers are just, I think, so important to the community they belong to, and that's the beauty of community newspapers, is that it is very hyper-local. We don't concentrate. As I sat down with Bill the other day, we were talking about this news piece that came across his desk and my desk, and he says, "John, I don't really think we this is involving a story that's, I don't know if that it makes sense to our local readers." And I said, "You know what? I agree with you. They can find this information anywhere. They could Google it and find it, or it'll probably come through their news feed somewhere." What's important for us is to continue to feed our community with local information. That's what makes us important, is that everybody else can touch on something. There could be breaking news, there might be, you know, an unfortunate death, or somebody's house caught on fire, or there was a tragic accident, and most of the news organizations are going to pick that up no matter where you're at. But what makes us important is that we pick up all news that may not be important to a news station or another newspaper, but for us it is important because it's what our local community is looking for. So that's what makes us.
I confess that I've been hearing you talk about community, and I should have started counting how many times you said community.
I will say that over and over.
Yeah, you will. Yes, you will. And I value that. And it's clear that you at the Auburn Journal value community.
Yes, for sure.
So do I. I think it's great. So that's why you believe at least smaller newspapers are important, because it helps the community.
Yes.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. So the hard part. We are in the 21st century. I remember working at the Journal and not working at the Journal, and early on, and there were times when the daily Journal was thick.
Yes.
Thick with news, stuff, and ads.
Yes.
And 6 days a week, I remember that, and I wish it could happen now. So we know that the paper is smaller and less often. What's next? We did talk about this earlier.
Right.
You're hoping to get a couple of days, more days, but what else might happen?
I think what's next is, I was there during the heydays too, and I remember, watching the paper that I was at, go smaller. Mm-hmm. And first things that were hit were classifieds because of eBay. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think it was Craigslist, but I think Craigslist was the second wave. But the first wave was eBay, and classifieds. What ran a lot of newspapers? Well, ran every newspaper. They were the heart of at least for the revenue portion of it. So I watched that change. Everybody thought we were going to just die off because of the internet. But I think internet was another opportunity for us to reach our readers and to reach different generations. And, I think that's where we're headed. We put a lot into our website, our social media, to make sure that I honestly don't care where our readers read our information.
As long as they read it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, it's if it's online, that's fine. If it's in print, great. Mm-hmm. But again, I think that as long as we make ourselves available in those avenues, we'll be fine. And again, I don't, people keep... I remember 10 years ago, people said, we're going to be done right now. Mm-hmm. And so I hear people now saying, oh, it's 5 years from now, it's 10 years from now. I'm not so sure, it's... If
records can keep going.
Yeah, so no, I think habits change for sure. It's hard for people to... I think it's harder for people to think that I'm going to hold this big piece of paper and read it. Well, again, that's why we're available on your phone screen or your laptop, your computer screen. So I think that's where we're headed. Yeah, in the end, there'll probably be less paper, but I think news is important, and
sure.
So we'll always be a provider.
Yeah. What makes... Have I asked you this question? What makes a good newspaper?
What makes a good newspaper? I think we've got the general stuff like fairness and accuracy.
Fairness and accuracy.
Yeah, I think that's important. Again, with my other word, my favorite word, community. I think there's got to be a community connection. We've got 6 newspapers, and it's hard for us because we're a smaller staff now. But it's something that I bring up at our staff meetings consistently, that, hey, it is important that we're involved with our community, because that's how we're going to know what's going on and understand what's important to those communities. And I think that's what, for us, the business that we're in, for local community newspapers, it is so important to feel that community heartbeat, to be a part of it, and the rest will roll. And then for me, as that captain of the ship, is to make sure I've got happy people at work that can, make this happen. So that's, to me, what makes a good newspaper.
How do you make them happy?
Well, that's sometimes they got to be a manager. Sometimes they have to be a cheerleader. Sometimes they have to be a problem solver. Sometimes I'm a parent. But it's just, they're in an industry that's it's not known as a growing industry any longer, and so I've just got to make sure that I'm meeting their needs, and that they understand too. My big thing is always, can I get people that are with us to buy into the importance of the newspaper? And I probably can walk. I'm sure I can walk the building, and I don't think there's a person in there that doesn't understand the importance of a newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing it right.
Okay. Do you do much speaking outside the?
Unfortunately, I don't right now due to just my responsibilities, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I'm wearing so many different hats. Like I said, I've gone home and I've had the complaints that I now smell like machines. I smell like a mechanic. So I'm hanging out at the presses quite a bit. I'm selling advertising. I'm on the phone, trying to, maybe listen to a reader and suggestions or complaints, or it could be a numerous amount of things. But I'd like to be out there more often. But I think what makes it very difficult right now is just the honest truth is that our staffing is probably about 40% of what it was in the past. So yeah.
Do you need more? Yes.
I'd love to have more.
But
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it's just adjusting to that.
Sure. Now, when I first met you, you were working on your museum. And tell us about your museum.
It's during COVID, we had a gentleman contact us and said, "Hey, I've got 2 old presses that are sitting outside in a little barn, and they're rusting, and he said, "Do you think you guys would like to buy it? Because we actually got these from the Journal way back, and just kept it in the family." And I said, "You know what? Let me check with our owners at the time." And our owner asked me, he said, "Well, do you want them?" And I said, "Well, gosh, this is a piece of history. I'd hate to think that they're just sitting and they're outside and they're getting rusty." And I said, "Would you mind buying them without a plan right now?" And he says, "Yeah, I'll buy them. Go ahead and tell them to that we'll buy them." And we put them up in a warehouse, and they sat in a warehouse. And our press manager asked me, he goes, "What do you want me to do with them?" And I said, "Could you just clean it up slowly? Could you?" And so he would go out there and he'd spray it down, clean it up, and they look nice now. And they sat there. And then one day I was sitting in the office, and I had a visitor, and they were talking about, we started talking about those presses. And and then we also had been talking about our lobby, that it was empty. And we had a counter there, but it was just kind of ugly because we had boxes and stacks of papers.
Sounds like
there.
my house.
Yeah, and sounds like mine. And so I said, we've got to do something with that lobby. And I just clicked. I said, you know what? I think we've got to have a museum. I want to pass along newspaper history to others. And we already had a machine in our lobby, and I thought, okay, well, hey, let's get these 2 presses ready, put them in there. And gentleman that we actually he works on our machines in the back, says, "Hey, I've got another press. Would you let me put that there in the lobby too?" And I said, bring it, please.
Wow.
Yeah, so I went around the office, found some other things. I ended up finding old headlines of our newspapers, framing those, putting our bindery books out, and it's just it's been it took about 1.5 years to pull it all off, but I finally did. So,
and you said before we started, you also have some typewriters?
Oh yeah,
old
we've got a couple of typewriters in the lobby already, but we did one of our best of the best parties. I believe it was an Auburn event. For the best of the best Auburn, we had an event, and what I did with these events is I'd have a tour of the facility, and so I think this one probably had about 30 or 40 people in this tour. We went around the building. When we came back around in the lobby, I had somebody approached me and said, my father's got an ancient typewriter sitting around, and it's just sitting there. would you take it? And I said, we've got 2 typewriters already, but I'll take anything. So bring it on over, and we'll get that into the museum. So and we'll take anybody that's got some newspaper history. We'll take it.
Okay, so in this, you are saying to that camera,
Yes.
anybody who has newspaper history will take it.
Yes, for sure.
And anybody who wants to see this can just come in?
Oh yeah, right now it's Monday through Friday. Our lobby is open 8 to 4 on Monday through Thursday.
Okay.
Friday 8 to noon. And open to the public. We'll do a grand opening ribbon cutting in January, but
Okay.
anybody's welcome right now. We've had some tours. We do field trips. We had a field trip. We had actually 2 field trips. One in October, one in November. We had one that was, I think, 50 or 60 kids.
How old? What age?
They were elementary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and they've been they do an annual trip with us at Bowman, and
Oh, good.
yeah, and they always have a lot of fun.
Good. For one thing, they get to see this.
Yes.
And the loud.
They
And,
love seeing the presses.
yeah.
They love
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So you're going to promote the ribbon cutting in January this month.
Well,
month?
next month.
Next month. Oh no.
Still not sure of the date.
December. We are not in 2024.
Yes.
No.
Not yet. Not yet. I
Okay.
still need a little time before it turns 2024.
Yeah,
I've got a lot.
yeah.
I've got a lot of things I need to accomplish.
Okay.
So.
But that's coming up.
Yes, it is.
And you'll let us know.
Oh well, yeah, for sure. We'll have it in the newspaper. We'll have it on our website. We'll have it on social media.
Cool.
And make sure that people are aware that there's a grand opening. But they can visit anytime at the Auburn Journal at 1030 High Street. So.
Yes. Yes. I love that place. You should have seen it before it got renovated. Now it's basic and ordinary, but before that was basic and ordinary. Now it's gorgeous.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. If someone wants to send you a column, send you a letter, send you some vital information that they think you need to, that they think you need, that the paper needs to present. You're all interested.
We are.
Okay.
Always.
Okay.
Yes.
Come in. Log in, goldcountrymedia.com.
Yeah, they can. We get plenty of visitors at the lobby. Just in person.
Yeah.
We an email. I know Bill Poindexter has always made his contact available. So Bill P at goldcountrymedia.com or submissions at goldcountrymedia.com. That's one that I generally hand out to people because it could be of any nature, and then it gets to us and we sort through it, see which direction it needs to go to.
Okay.
So.
Good. They're open. All right. I've been talking to John Love, publisher of the Auburn Journal. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you, Susan.
It's been a pleasure. And thank you for watching.
Thank you.